It gives me great pleasure to interact with you on the occasion of 130th of birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Today, I'll deal with the contemporary relevance of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar thoughts, how his thoughts is contemporary relevance in the context of national security. We all aware about Baba Saheb Ambedkar's work, most of the work and most of his contribution uh, in particularly in the field of Indian Constitution while framing the Indian Constitution. But unfortunately, very rare of the rare academician interacted his thoughts in nation building process as well as how he contributed in, in the context of national security. I'm very happy that today I have an opportunity to share my views and thoughts how Baba Saheb Ambedkar play important role in the process of nation building as well as how his thoughts is related to national security. Let me just take at a glance how we define national security. When we define national security, the genesis start from birth of nation state to present time. In the 17th century to present time, evolution took place in the understanding of the concept of national security. Earlier, concept of national security dealt with different historical and philosophical settings. Concept of security, or when we talk about national security, it has different kind of multidimensional uh, factors to understand the national security. National security, global security, international security, collective security, common security, equal security. These are the few terms used by different strategic experts to understand global power politics and national security environment. But from birth of nation state to till date, this concept has changed drastically, and while considering the changing nature of national security, I would like to link with how Baba Saheb Ambedkar played an important role in the context of national security. Let me give me 2 minutes on understanding of national security issue. Uh, in the context of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, or in the context of India's national security, concept of security has different kind of ideas and philosophical understanding. And take example of, if you ask me what is the core value of American security, so American strategic expert will explain any threat to US trade they dealt as it is threat to national security. Or take example of Pakistan. If you ask the Pakistan strategic expert how Pakistan define national security, Pakistan will say any threat to the religion, this is a threat to national security. But in the context of India's national security, if you ask to any layman to how we define national security, any threat to your constitution or core values of constitution, that is a fraternity, sovereignty and secularism structure of the constitution and fundamental rights. Any threat among any one, it is threat to national security. So in short, what is national security? National security, concept of national security varies from one place to another place. And in Indian context, national security differs from different value. We focused on protection of core value, that is the Indian Constitution. In the context of Baba Saheb Ambedkar played a very important role in framing the Indian Constitution, but at the same time, he played a very important role to develop a strategic ideology in the context of external threat as well as internal threat. Most of the academicians refer him as a Messiah of Dalits and the Constitution, chief architect of Indian Constitution. But apart from that, Baba Ambedkar played a very crucial role while drafting the constitution and while protecting India's unity and integrity, as well as framing a structure in a constitution in a such way one vote, one value, one citizen would be one of the key strategic player in terms of nation building. Let me take you what is his contribution in terms of foreign policy, in terms of China, in terms of Pakistan, in terms of global power politics. Most of the academicians, I said earlier, neither they refer Baba Sahib literature nor they read in that context. They just read only about his poem, about his uh, biography, but what he played important role that has not referred in academic sphere of life. And in this context, it is necessary to understand what is his thoughts related to Pakistan, what is his thoughts related to China, and what is his thoughts related to external security environment, and then I'll jump on internal security environment. Let me cover one important aspect about Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Uh, Whatever he has written, if you read all 22 volumes published by Government of Maharashtra, Department of Education about his writing and speeches, you will see how person like him, he has understanding related to all kind of issues, whether issues related to social justice, whether issues related to farmers, whether issues related to connecting the rivers, or whether issues related to energy or scientific temperament. I'll take you first what he has developed understanding about the Pakistan and China. He was the first person who pointed a finger on Pakistan. Uh, Pakistan partition took place, or Indian partition took place in 1947. Partition emerged as a state, nation state on global map on 14th August 1947. And Baba Ambedkar wrote a book in 1940. And that book is very important for us to understanding what kind of strategic thought he has given to Indian masses. He said that crisis between majority and minority is not for the piece of land. It is a crisis of majority versus minority. And the same thing is happening in a present context. Appeasement of minorities or appeasement for the majority. And in Indian politics, everywhere you can see that the majority versus minority, in particular in the political context, you will understand what kind of issues are there when we're dealing with the Pakistan. Baba Ambedkar wrote a book in 1940, and that book published in 40s, and then partition occurred, and after that we had the first war with Pakistan in 47-48, 65 is the second war, 71 is the third war, 99 Kargil, and we don't know when we will have it another war. Just recently, if you go to the Department of Defense in Pentagon website, you will find that in 2025 there was a secret reports as published by intelligence agency in US that by 2025 there will be a war between India and Pakistan in high intensity conflict. Earlier it was in low intensity conflict converted into mid intensity conflict, but probably in 2024-25 there is the possibility of another war that will be scaled in the high intensity conflict. Why it has happened? Neither we had gone through understanding and the issue, what is the logic behind that. And at the same time, whatever, look at the both countries, India and Pakistan, if you club together and if you calculate how many poor people are staying in both countries, 50% people from both countries are staying below the poverty line. But still, both countries are spending more money on defense and security apparatus. Why it has happened? Because we have not looked at what is the exact issue between India and Pakistan. Most of the time, take example of Kargil happened, most of the Indian youth, they come on street and they sing a song, or they've shown this national spirit, or in a, you can say that if you enter in any cinema hall, before going to cinema start or a show start, you have to have stand for the national anthem. So that kind of nationalism we have, whereas Baba Ambedkar said that you need to understand what is a critical issue between India and Pakistan. Come to the China, Baba Ambedkar is the first person who heavily criticized on Nehru in 1954. Although he was the member of Upper House, Rajya Sabha, and when we had a Panchashil agreement with China, and that called Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. And that time, Baba Ambedkar said that there is no need to have an emotional attachment while framing the foreign policy. And Baba Ambedkar warned to Nehru that time that look, while signing a Panchashil agreement with China, first Mao must understand what is the Buddha's philosophy. Not Buddha's philosophy, neither they are implementing. In fact, they are exploiting the people, Buddhist people, and they are coming. They are playing important role. In that context, Baba Ambedkar said that in a foreign policy, what you need a strategic vision. And Indian context, India has a lack of strategic culture because neither we are united as a society as a whole, nor we have a strategic vision. And that's why he heavily criticized in Pakistan, and he criticized the Panchashil agreement. Lastly, you all aware that when we had 1954 Panchashil agreement in 1959, China's first occupied the Tibet, and then we gave a political asylum to Dalai Lama. And when Chinese aware about that, what is the lacking of Indian armed forces, China attacked on Indian territory in 1962, and at presently more than 90,000 square kilometer land occupied by Chinese, and even China is saying that in whole of the Arunachal Pradesh is a part of China. So look at the strategic map, and you will find that India is the only country on global map where two neighboring countries is possessing weapons of mass destruction. And Baba Ambedkar argued about these two countries, that is China and Pakistan. Just last week we had an issue at a global level, particularly on Suez Canal, and there was one ship was stuck, and the Suez Canal was stuck for more than 10 days, and 10% trade was affected. That time Baba Ambedkar argued about while dealing with the Suez Canal, what we need to a nationalization of Suez Canal. He criticized Egypt and British policy, and he was in favor of nationalization of Suez Canal. Then again, in a foreign policy, Baba Ambedkar said that most of the time Indian strategic community using a foreign ad hoc mechanism. He called exact word ad hocism, and whatever Prime Minister said, that become a part of foreign policy. And we don't have a strategic culture, and he said that such kind of ad hocism could not work while dealing with the foreign policy. But look at from 1950s to till date, means even when present Prime Minister suddenly went in Pakistan and met with Imran Khan, but it became a policy. So this is kind of a ad hocism. He argued that, and this is continuing. Thing is going in ad hoc nature, and that is the main issue related to foreign policy. Now, when we talk about Kashmir, Baba Ambedkar also talked about the Kashmir. In fact, he was the first person who resigned in the name of Kashmir. Look at his resignation he submitted to then government, and that resignation is available in writing and speeches. He has given 4 important major reasons. One is that for first time he argued that in Hindu code bill, Hindu women should get all kind of rights like all kids are getting. Then he talks about OBC reservation. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe got a reservation as per the constitution, but he wanted to set up a commission who can study the other backward classes and give them the reservation. And third reason, he talked about the Kashmir. In the name of Kashmir, we had 4 wars with Pakistan, but even today, when government of India in 1 year back, Jammu Kashmir they converted in a territory, separate Ladakh territory, and Jammu is another territory. So still there is no peace. So Baba Ambedkar argued that look at the population, and he has given a map how to make it the partition of Kashmir and what kind of solution is needed, and he exactly given in his resignation about the Kashmir. These are the most of the issues he dealt with in terms of external security environment. Come to the internal security environment. Today, India is claiming that India is playing important role, and India is emerging as a global power. But look at what is the beauty of that. A country like Pakistan, who established or who was established in the name of religion but divided or disintegrated in 1971. Take an example of Sri Lanka, which claimed that 100%, 70 to 80% population is Buddhist, but they had a crisis. Take an example of Myanmar or any Buddhist country. But in Indian case, or take an example of any country who got independence after Second World War, look at what is their status and look at India's status without any revolution, without any bloodshed, without any military action. The silent revolution is going on in Indian political system or Indian social system. Those people were out of skirts 5 decades, 6 decades back. Those were out of development. Now they are coming in a mainstream and they are playing important role in nation building process. So in this context, what Baba Ambedkar argued that? Baba Ambedkar argued that what is important here. Look at the first, when we talked about the internal security environment, at presently we have a number of issues. One is the poverty, nationalism, regional conflict, language issue, then the political instability in a few states, then the crisis between South versus North, Northeast issue, and so on. But India is the only country where we have maintained our unity through the constitution value. And what is the beauty of that? Beauty of that is from Jammu Kashmir to Andaman Nicobar, we are united, where still we are at presently more than 20 to 25% population are staying below the poverty line, but still this country is united. And what is the beauty of that? And why Baba Ambedkar is important here? Baba Ambedkar is important here in two ways. One, the kind of provision he made in Indian Constitution. And rare academician highlighted this constitutional provision, which is important for nation building, not only for nation building, but for this country's unity and integrity. But unfortunately, they never referred Baba Ambedkar as irresponsible. Most of the academicians refer the other, means the Indian culture is very good, that's why India is united, India is playing important role, or Indian IT sector is booming, so India is playing important role. But that is not the case. Take an example, Baba Ambedkar said that every 6 miles, this country has a different language and different culture. And to unite such a diverse population or diverse culture, what we need a powerful center, but at the same time, state has its own responsibility. And for that, he made 3 important provision in Indian Constitution. One, that is Article 352, second, Article 356, and third is Article 360. And all these 3 important articles is a part of Indian Constitution, and we call it the emergency article. Article 352, when you means President can use when external attack or in external attack by any adversary group. Suppose tomorrow China used nuclear weapons of mass destruction, or China used army against Indian government, then President can use Article 352 and declare a national emergency. In case if you have a financial crisis, then Article 360 can apply and President can use national emergency by applying the Article 360. Whereas Article 356 is very important. Why? I said earlier, look at the 80s. That time, that was a time where Khalistan movement was in peak and people was aware about that probably Khalistan could get a separate and state independent identity. Take example of entire Northeast, Mizoram, Nagaland, Assam, Bodo, and so on other issues. But whenever we needed, we applied Article 356. Then look at the Kashmir. Whenever we had a problem in 80s onward, that time President declared a state emergency. So what is Article 356? Article 356 talks about any group of people wanted a separate identity in the name of religion, in the name of caste, in the name of emotional. That time governor may use Article 356 and declare a state emergency for 6 months. And that part controlled by the central government. And Baba Ambedkar always very keenly interested, he used the word union of the state. He said that this is a union of state. Most of the states is under the union, where central government should be very powerful. But at the same time, he has given what? First, you need to understand what is Article 356. Article 356 is whenever it is necessary, any state failed to maintain a political stability, or any group of insurgency or terrorist group, or any group of people, they control or use the weapon against the state mechanism or political instability. That time governor can use Article 356 and declare a state emergency. I am telling you that from 1950 to 2021, 7 decades plus few years, Indian democracy has survived because of this article. And that all credit goes to Baba Ambedkar, because he played a very important role to insert this article. When this article came in Indian Constitution, that time there was long debate. If you want to see the kind of debates happen on this article, that time most of the Constitution Assembly members opposed Dr. Baba Ambedkar. And Baba Ambedkar argued that, look at the Indian tradition, every home has a emergency equipment at home. In your kitchen or in my kitchen, we most of the time we don't use all stuffs, but the Indian women, they wanted that stuff for emergency time. And same kind of example Baba Sahib gave it to the Constitution Assembly members, that look, India is a country where diverse population, diverse group of population, there is a diversity, there is a regional issues, and for that, in that context, to maintain this diverse population as in a one unit, what you need some kind of mechanism where constitutional mechanism can play important role. And he said that, and I'll quote his statement: Article 356 is a dead letter in Indian Constitution. What Baba Ambedkar said, and I am repeating, is that Article 356 is a dead letter in Indian Constitution. However, this is only article which will protect India's unity and integrity. And he said, he warned, whenever, and again I quote that, what he said, that whenever, wherever he means, or he or she means the governor, may use Article 356, he or she may use her or his consciousness. What he said, that for governor appointed by central government, where governor should not play or should not become a puppet in the hands of the central government, he or she must use his or her consciousness. And this is exactly what thing is happening. Most of the time, Article 356 playing important role, but most of the time from 70 onwards, some extent political interference by central government, and there is a misuse of Article 356 by central government. But that is apart. But at the same time, this country, today we have Punjab with us because of Article 356. All northeast state, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Assam, all where we had an insurgency from beginning. But all states are with us because of the Article 356. And all southern state also, look at, if anyone can dare to speak Hindi in 80s, in southern part there was a huge guy, but Hindi language and Hindi cinema played an important role to maintain unity amongst north versus south. And in that context, what is important here, what Baba Ambedkar played important role to insert Article 356 for unity in India. And he said that this is the only article which will protect India's unity and integrity. And he said we need Article 356. Lastly, all Constitutional Assembly members agreed, and because of this Article 356, today India is united. So this is very important. Now, second important aspect is very important. Most of the people talks about caste is a contribution related to reservation. Reservation would be a one kind of mechanism where society can become a casteless and classless. But first he said that he was truly Indian, and first he is Indian, then later. But what he said that and what is his contribution in terms of to look at his contribution related to regional identity and regional issue. Indian government set up Fazal Ali Commission to establishment of new states, and the Fazal Ali Commission gave a report on the formula of one language, one state. What is one language, one state? For example, the Marathi speaking people got a Maharashtra, Punjabi speaking people got a Punjab, Tamil Nadu speaking people got Tamil Nadu, and so on. Whereas Baba Ambedkar, what is his argument? I said earlier, partition took place in 47 and he wrote a book in 1940. Fazal Ali Commission set up in 1956, but Baba Ambedkar argued in 1948, 52 and 55, he come out with the regional states in India. So in 48, he took a stand that look at this country, we could not have a one language and one state. And from these, his writing from 1948, 52 and 55, he took a different stand, but he argued that if any person change his minds, he should change his minds and thoughts according to time and situation. And he changes his time. And he said that one state, one language would not be feasible for Indian territory. What is important? Important is a one language, many state. At presently, Fazal Ali recommendation, as according to Fazal Ali Commission, we have established, and today we are first Maharashtrian, then Indian, first Punjabi, then Indian, first Tamilian, then Indian. So that is his he criticized, and unfortunately that does not happen. But nowadays, today, everyone, even took an example, and presently the kind of vaccination policy, most of the state are crying, most of the state getting another benefit, most of the state getting not getting a benefit. So this is a situation, and Baba Ambedkar exactly criticized that Indian people are divided in the name of language, culture, and he argued that if you divide the population, that time it was just 40 crore, around 40 crore population. So it could be very easy for us to make it a small state. And he said that look at the southern state and northern state. That time north side, I mean up to 70s, all prime minister came from that side. First North prime minister came later in 70s onward. Baba Ambedkar, look at the southern India and look at northern India. We call it as Bimaru, that is Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. Anyone control, any political party control this northern side, they control whole India. And he argued that if one hand, if you balkanize the small state in southern side, and one hand, if you make it large state in north side, then it could be a challenge for India's unity and integrity. And he said that it could be resolved through the one language, many state. But unfortunately, that was not part of academic debate, neither discussed in academic or references, or not a discussion took place in larger places in academic sphere of life. And exactly we need to understand what he focused on that. The third important issue, particularly another beauty of Baba Ambedkar, that is one language, one state. Apart from one language, one state, what he said that one vote, one value, single citizenship, single judicial system, and single administrative system. So, as per our constitution, we may have differences with Bihari Babus or Bihari or anyone from south or in north or middle, central, but the single judicial system and single administrative system taught us to how to live in unity. Take example of in 5 to 10 years back in Mumbai, there was a huge agitation against the Biharis. But one hand, political party may use that kind of emotional card against the some group or some of the groups. But practically, if a Mumbai commissioner who come from Bihar or other part of it, the all administration has obeyed to order to that same person. So it means the single judicial system, single administrative system, one vote, one value, one citizen played a very important role to maintain unity and integrity. Means from Kashmir to Andaman Nicobar, people talk about only Kanyakumari, but that is not the case. Kashmir to Andaman Nicobar, we have a single judicial system, single administrative system, single citizenship, and that played a very important role. What Baba Ambedkar won on 25th November 1949 when he submitted the constitution draft to the Constitution Assembly and the chairman of the Constitution Assembly, and he won, and his very famous speech of Baba Ambedkar. He said that today we are entering in a different time where through one vote, one value, we may call it as a political democracy. But unless this country has equality in terms of economic equality and social equality, this country cannot. Unfortunately, some extent we got a good kind of development, but at the same time, considering the present time, 20% are resources, 20% means 80% resources controlled by 20% people, whether wealth, whether resources, natural resources, and that is not the idea of Baba Ambedkar. Baba Ambedkar said that through one vote, one value, what we need a economic equality. Unless we could come at the economic equality, we could not emerge as a single, as a superpower at national level. Now, most of the time, we are not understanding what Baba Ambedkar said. Most of the political leaders just use Baba Ambedkar as a weapon. Most of the political group also use his statue as the photograph. But in a practical way, whatever his teaching, what he said, particularly when he decided to conversion, in first he gave a slogan in 1935 at Evla in Maharashtra, and he said that today I am born in Hindu, but I will not die in a Hindu. From 1935 to 56, he has gone in different stages. He studied thoroughly, critically all religions. In fact, there was a different religion also offer him a different kind of things, but he said that I will give it the religion which my people can understand, and he chose the Buddhism. And again, he said that he don't want to Buddha in a where his eyes is not open. He wanted a standing Buddha with the open eyes. He said that he criticized Buddhism also and he had given a new scientific temperament, new Buddhism, where scientific temperament is very important. He was against the traditional way of thinking of Buddhism also. You all aware about there are three kind of Buddhism. Theravada is different, Tibetan Buddhism, then other Buddhism, and also monk also exploited their resources. And he said that Baba Ambedkar gave a new kind of Buddhism where scientific temperament, you must ask question to your senior and you must ask question to your teacher, and if you satisfied, then continue. And he also focused on what is Buddha's philosophy. He said that Buddha's philosophy is nothing but the scientific temperament, and he gave it a scientific temperament. And also important, look at the education policy. Now, we all are in education field, and in education field, most of the education experts neither they refer Baba Ambedkar nor they talked about what Baba Ambedkar gave it education policy. Let me go back, take you in Mumbai when he was the MLA in Legislative Assembly in 1927. That time he argued, talked about Mumbai University. We all aware that the three universities, then Madras, Calcutta, and Mumbai. This was established in 1857, and each university drafted a different draft how to make it a education policy. And then he argued about, today we talked about cluster university, we talked about academic exchange, and if you want to see his contribution, you must read it first, Writing and Speeches, first volume, where he talked about what kind of education policy we need. And he said that today university, in that time, and I'll quote his statement, he said that the university should not become just conducting exam and declaring the result. University should be develop a center of excellence to understand the scientific temperament, and curriculum should be based not only tradition and culture. Curriculum should be based on scientific temperament, and curriculum should be a critical analyzed by the expert. And he said that he said that today we talk about clustering. This clustering concept he argued in first time in 1927 when he talked at that time Sydenham College and other government-aided colleges were less number of faculty. And he said that if you cluster, then it could be benefit for that. Unfortunately, in meantime, from independence, most of the ivory tower we have created. Neither we never interacted with our academic exchanges between or among the different universities. And Baba Ambedkar said the same universities should develop undergraduate program as well as the postgraduate program. And postgraduate program is focused on research as well as also integrate with the faculty. Now, in our education system, affiliated college teacher and university department teacher, there is a huge gap in terms of their administrative responsibility and academic responsibility. And then there is a disparity in terms of the academic hierarchy. Baba Ambedkar said we don't need such kind of cluster, and he said that time he gave it report, and he referred that he compiled 6-year data and how much expenditure we are spending on education. At present, as per the new education policy, Government of India is going to spend 6% of GDP on higher education. Baba Ambedkar, that time he argued, and I'll give an exact quotation on that. He said that that time British earn 2.15 rupees per person, but on education only they are spending only 4 annas. That was very minimal. But from 1947 or 50s to till date, our education expenditure or in terms of GDP, our spending is very less, and our gross enrollment ratio is very less in terms of when you compare with the European universities or in European countries or Western world. So Baba Ambedkar said you need to spend as per the whatever amount. If I am earning 10 lakh rupees per month, I should spend my percentage. So you earmark each one how much he is earning, and then according to that he has to pay money for education to others. And he also talked about there is a need to have a senate where representation from scheduled castes, there is a need to academic mobility, academic council should be eminent peace people, and so on. So what I'm saying here, I will not take too much time because this is an online lecture. Whenever we'll get a benefit, we'll apply and we can have an interaction on that same topic. But I'll just conclude that Baba Sahib Ambedkar is not only Masihi of Dalits. He is the real icon of the people where he played a very important role. You name it, whether in the field of anthropology, whether in the field of caste, whether in the field of agriculture, whether in the field of Reserve Bank of India, whether in the field of, you name it, his inputs are very important to understand the present time. So my request would be, kindly don't read or don't understand Baba Sahib Ambedkar in just one mindset. You need to just go through the whatever literature published by writing and speeches published by Government of Maharashtra. If you read it critically and thoroughly, you will understand how the person played important role not only for nation building, but he gave a breath to each and every one, not only for Dalits. So with this word, I conclude my speech. Thanks, sir, for giving the opportunity. Thank you very much.